In this session, Kevin and I are tackling one of our most popular topics, which is overcoming your fear and getting more comfortable on camera. In this session, we actually addressed both the internal things that keep people from doing video, some of those self-limiting beliefs around how they look, how they sound, or how people are going to perceive them on video, as well as we tackled some of the technical aspects that keep people from feeling great about their videos, like camera position, lighting, background. So no matter where you fall on that spectrum, if you're interested in becoming more comfortable and confident in front of the camera, this is a great session to check out. We are very excited today about this topic. This is one of my absolute most favorite topics. Today is actually my 8-year BombBomb anniversary.
Woo!
But I've been doing this for a very, very long time. I've been doing this for 8 years, and still overwhelmingly, the number one thing that keeps people from doing video or doing as much video as they should be doing or could be doing is not the technology. It's not that, the tech is too hard. So often it comes down to this fear and this uncomfortability about being on camera and seeing yourself on camera. So we're going to dive into that today. And we're going to make sure that you walk away today feeling a little bit more empowered and having some tips at your fingertips to help you feel a little more comfortable there.
Yeah, it's funny, Alicia, as you and I have taught this, for so many years now and talked about this. And honestly, my opinion and way I talk through this has totally changed over the years as I've gotten more perspective. But one of the things we've learned is it's great to talk about the root of the problem, which we're absolutely going to do, right? Kind of talk about the baseline, a little bit of the psychology behind why are we feeling this, some of those sort of things. But then I think where we want to really be helpful today is giving you actual real tips, things that you can start to use to work through this. Because it's not very helpful if we just say like, great, here's the problem, figure it out. If we can give you some real tactical things that have helped us work through this, that's really our goal for you to leave with. I have seen a couple of Q&As and chats in about recording. Absolutely, this will be recorded. You will get a recording sent to you in the next few days in an email. You can also always, Michelle, if you want to grab this link and share it, for those of you that are new or just didn't know about it, bombbomb.com/webinar is where we post all of our past webinars. So if you hear us reference any today, or if you're curious, I've already seen a question about getting your videos played more. We did a webinar on that about 6 months ago that you could go rewatch right now. It's available. So bombbomb.com/webinar is a great resource for you there. Before we jump in though, I wanted to launch a little poll here. You guys know we love to throw some polls out and really get kind of a feel for the room, a kind of a temperature check. I know the fear and the nervousness and the lack of confidence for sure hits when you're first starting out. But it also doesn't mean it disappears the more videos you've done, right? It doesn't just go away. Alicia, you and I are up close to that 10,000 video mark, and we still have moments where we're, that doesn't feel right. I don't feel good about this. I'll just type an email, right? We still have a lot of those things.
There are still days when I will turn on my camera to record a video and be like, ugh, I don't feel prepared for this today. My hair's messy. I look too tired. Can I just do this tomorrow? Yes, we still have to fight against that. Absolutely.
I had a really funny thing the other day. Last week when we had another snow day, my 8-year-old was home and I recorded a video and was like, just had the kind of the snapshot pulled up and he goes, "Are you going to send that?" I was like, all my insecurities just came flooding over my whole body because
man, kids are good for that one.
Yeah. So this is great. We're getting lots of questions. I'll close this poll down in just a second and kind of show you the answers. But I think what's great is, honestly, we're getting results on all of these. And I think all of us can relate to these to some point. So let's go ahead and share these so you guys can take a look at them. Pretty overwhelming. The I don't like the way I look or sound. Not shocking, I think, to Alicia or I. That is one of the number one things that we hear time and time again. And so we're going to talk about that. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of talk through these 4 concerns here and give you some real solutions to help overcome that. So no matter which one you selected in this poll, know that we're going to give you some kind of tips and tricks. Before we jump into that though, let's start to set a little bit of a baseline. Alicia, you actually, as we were talking through how we were going to approach this and how we're going to talk about this, really brought up this idea of it's hard with this topic because there's a lot of complexity to it. There's a lot of different levels. And you really introduced me to this idea of there are internal pieces that are holding you back, and then there are external pieces. I'll pull this up just to show some of the ones that I know I have lived on. But what are some of these that have really stood out for you as some of those things to work through continually when it comes to video?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we saw it in the poll question there. And that's the most common one that we hear is this, I don't like the way I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way my voice sounds. And these are, we're going to dive into more of that, but like, this is that number one thing. And the blanket that I like to put over all of these is that self-limiting beliefs, right? These are, whether it's the imposter syndrome, which, you know, we talk about a lot. I just told a story a couple minutes ago while we were waiting to jump on about being at a dinner with Connor, the CEO of our company, on my 1-year BombBomb anniversary, and telling him, like, I feel like I don't belong here. And he was like, yeah, me too. Right? Like imposter syndrome. So many of us have this feeling like I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be on camera. That's for other people. Or, you know, these are all fall under this category of things in our head, right, that are keeping us. These aren't things that actually make it so that you can't do video. Right now, the external ones, sometimes those feel a little bit more like if you are not sure about what camera to look at or how to use your camera or things, those can be more actual hurdles. And we're going to help you work on those. But so many of these internal ones, these are just things that you are perpetuating, and you're getting stuck in that cycle that's keeping you there.
What's so interesting to me about these is, of course, the internal and external are going to be tied together, but so many of these things, these vulnerabilities, the self-limiting beliefs, I mean, I'm looking at all the bullet points here, are all based on our assumptions of what other people are feeling and thinking. And it's really interesting to start to think of it from that perspective. I mean, I not only do I look at people that have been on video forever, like I watch Alicia host webinars and things, and there's so much confidence that comes across and so much expertise and preparation that I'm like, gosh, she's just got this nailed down. And then I get to sit and talk with her, and she was like, I was terrified for that webinar. Like I was so nervous for that presentation because of X, Y, and Z. And we make these assumptions. I mean, to take this to the nth degree, I'm going to pull up some quotes here. Alicia, you and I have talked about this forever, but especially with video, right? When we think of video, who do you think of as the experts on video, of the people that are just so good at being on camera? It's actors and actresses, right? I mean, those are the people that spend their lives investing and trying to be as perfect on this as possible. However, we put these assumptions that they're great at, they're comfortable, they're confident, they've put all this work in and all this training and all these classes. And what's interesting is when you start to ask them, when interviewers start to ask them, do you like to rewatch your movies? How do you feel about this? Look at some of their quotes, because it's really, really fascinating to go, I'm putting assumptions on this group of people, and look at their responses. I mean, Johnny Depp, I stay as far away as I possibly can because I don't like watching myself. I think the Javier Bardem one was something I resonated, that bottom one. I can't even watch that nose, that voice, those ridiculous eyes. I can't handle that, right? We look at Javier Bardem and go, wow, he's a really talented guy. He's a good looking guy, whatever that definition is in our brain. Yeah. And yet he named my nose, voice, and eyes that are 3 things that he is really uncomfortable about with himself. And he's feeling those insecurities. And so the reason I show you this is not just to be like, oh, we're all in it. We all lost. No big deal. It's more to try and build you up and go, we're all feeling it.
Solidarity.
Yes.
I love this, the aspect of that, reminding you guys that this is a very human thing, right? This isn't a you problem, okay? This is a human thing that we all at some point or another, I can tell you with confidence, okay? Almost every single person you have ever seen on video, whether it's like on the big screen, whether it's on Instagram stories, whether it's Kevin and I, whether it's a colleague in your industry that's doing video, almost every single person has at some point or another had to wrestle with this. So like, if you feel like this is the thing, this is why you can't do video, I'm going to have to raise the BS flag on that one, because we all have to work through this challenge.
Well, and so much of it is rooted. I mean, those of you that have come to enough of these webinars know that I am a Brene Brown fanboy. I love her so deeply. And she talks about so much of this stuff, right? Like vulnerability and shame and courage and all these things. And if you are interested at all in this, I cannot recommend her content enough. I was literally listening to one of her webinars this morning, and I always leave going, oh my gosh, I resonated so much with at least one or two things in there. But one of the things that she talks about so much is vulnerability, and the insecurities that we feel in the effort of putting myself out there first. I will tell you guys my ultimate vulnerability that makes me really uncomfortable and why I don't rewatch most of my videos. And it's that my hair is like thinning out big time right here. And I say big time. I know I still have plenty of hair. I know this is relative, but it's definitely not where it used to be 5-10 years ago. And I have found myself recording videos leaning like this and tilting myself this way so that I can hide the one side or the other. And I'm not saying this at all I'm not even looking at chat and Q&A as I talk about this, to be like, oh, Kevin, you look great. Like, that's not the point. What I want you to hear is, again, that we all have these things, that we're all insecure. And it's something I have to overcome with pretty much every video that I do, is not looking at that and not focusing on that. I also say it because I think it's really interesting to go, oh my gosh, I probably didn't even notice that about you. The things that we feel about ourselves, like this gap in my teeth, right? These little things are the first things that I look at in a picture. And I bet most of you out there probably did not think twice about any of those. If you did notice them, they were not in a negative light in any way, shape, or form. And so there's really this element of vulnerability feels so heavy. It feels like a cage to a degree, right? It feels so limiting and negative. Brene Brown, and honestly, if you've ever studied like the hero's journey or any of those, it's really interesting because vulnerability is actually this moment of great courage. Yes. And that's, I think, what's so exciting about this. And I'll show you a quote that I put on here from Brene, just because it's been really encouraging to me. The courage to be vulnerable is not winning or losing. It's not about doing this. It's about courage to show up when you can't predict or control the outcome. And to me, that feels so true with video. Of one of the nerve-wracking parts of it is I'm putting all of these things about me on camera, and I'm hoping that they'll be accepted in the outside world. I can't control how people respond to that. And it's hard. It's not an easy thing. And there's days when I don't think twice about it. There's days where it feels much bigger and heavier. But I just want to encourage you all to know that we all have these things. I'm sure you're thinking about them in your minds right now, and that's okay. That's normal. That's actually great. It's what makes you real and human and connective.
Congratulations. You're a human being.
Yeah.
Right? You don't like the sound of your voice? Congratulations. You're a human being, right? Like, we all, I tell people this all the time, like, we're used to experiencing ourselves from inside of ourselves, even when you're on Zoom, right? Like, because when you're watching it on Zoom, yourself on Zoom, you're still kind of experiencing it from inside of yourself. And while it's really happening and hearing your voice, it's the, once you record it and you're watching it back, because now you're like disembodied and you're watching yourself, right? But not as a witness, right? And I think this quote might be there when we're talking about watching your videos back, but like, we're watching ourselves not as a witness anymore, but we watch ourselves as a judge, right? Like, ooh, oh, why did you say that? Oh, you said too many times. Oh, why did you blink so often? Like, right? Because now we're like disembodied from the experience. So that's like, we all do it. It's normal. Let's get into some of the external stuff. And then we're going to really jump into how you work through these things.
Alicia and I have to keep moving ourselves forward because we could sit and talk about this for hours. Yes. It's something that we're both really passionate about. But let's talk about some of these outside factors, because there are for sure things that are external. And we've even had some Q&As about it, of where there are things that we feel nervous about and make us more uncomfortable. Our backgrounds, right? That's something we talk about so often with people when they're recording videos, right? Equipment quality. I just saw Frank actually put a QA in asking, what is your setup? What do you use? Because we're all curious about how do we get the quality on. I'll tell you one thing that I have learned with all of these pieces as well is I definitely am not sending a video that I feel like I look like crap in, right? That's not going to happen. Now, I don't have to be perfect. There's a scale to this. It's not they're all 10s all the time, but I used to avoid this part of the conversation a lot because I didn't want people to get overwhelmed with equipment and technical stuff. However, there are a lot of things we can do that help build that confidence. Talk about some of the things you've learned from that standpoint. I
mean, like we're going to jump into some specifics, but something as simple as lighting, right? Like you don't understand what a difference that makes in how you're going to feel about sending that video out, right? Like it makes such a big difference. Camera quality is another one. Like it's not the end of the world, but the way that you look, the way you're going to perceive it, really makes a huge difference. Yeah, I mean, I think we should just dive right into the actual, into like working through these, because
Yeah,
we're going
let's do it.
to do it.
The one last thing I'll show this because I put this quote on and I just like it, so I'm going to force it into play. It's this great quote from Catherine Fitty, who's really fascinating. She's an author, entrepreneur, investor. I mean, if you're in the business world, she's a great person to look at. But she talks about a conversation she had with her dad when she was younger. She's like, I'm 5'10", I'm bold, I'm loud, I have this presence when I walk into a room, and I used to try and dress that down. I tried to hide from that. And she's like, my dad had to tell me really young, he's like, you cannot dress that away from you. That is who you are. So give them something to look at. And now if you look at pictures, she's got these bright red glasses, like she's owning who she is. And this is just a great reminder for all of you. The easiest thing we can be is ourselves. The more we try to be something else, the harder it's going to be. So just take that for what it is. I like to throw these encouraging things when we're talking about, these harder topics. But let's start to hit on some of these concerns, some of these objections. And really, Alicia and I kind of wrote down, what are the 4 ones we hear the most? And they were a lot of the ones we threw in that poll. So the first one we're going to talk about here is, I don't like the way I look or sound, right? We've already talked about this to a degree, but we want to give you some real actionable tips around this as well. So talk about this, Alicia, because I love the way I've heard you speak about this in some webinars, this disengagement.
Yeah. So like we just established the fact that we all have to battle those self-limiting thoughts, right? There is not one of us that every single day looks in the mirror and thinks, I'm perfect. Maybe if you do, I'm proud of you. I'm so proud of you for doing that work. I'm still working on it. Okay. But so here's this is your first training tip for working through this challenge. Okay. And your first tip is that you have to make a choice to disengage with the negative voices, right? Like every single time you turn on that camera and the first thing that you think to yourself is, oh, no one wants to look at this face. Well, you can keep giving that voice power and ruminating there, or you can make a choice to stop giving that voice power, and replace it with something else. And this caveat here, be careful when you're watching your videos back and for what reason. I already saw someone in Q&A ask about this, like, is it okay to watch your videos back? Should you have someone else do it? When you're first starting to overcome this challenge and do simple video, I would not recommend watching your videos back. When you are new to this, right? Think about it like a voicemail, right? Just record it. And we're going to give you some tips for the things you say and all of that, but you got to send it, right? You're not, if you get stuck in this watching it back and over again, and, oh, I can't send that one. I got to re-record. I got to re-record. This is where people throw up their hands and say, oh, it takes too long. I can't do this. It takes too long. I've spent 30 minutes trying to record this one video. I'm frustrated. So don't do that.
Well, and your 10th video is not going to be that much better than your first, I promise. Like it's not going to get exponentially better. You're not going to fix the things that you're feeling insecure about. Yeah.
Now, is it okay to watch your videos back? Absolutely. But why are you watching it back? When you're trying to like build your muscle and get better, great. If you want to start watching some of your videos and watching them for specific things, like I want to get better about removing some of my filler words. Great. Watch it from that angle. But if you are watching your videos back and you are spending time ruminating on all of the negative things and all of the reasons why you don't like yourself and why you can't do video and why people are going to see your video and be like, I'm not working with her. If that's what you're spending time on, you are doing yourself a disservice. But here's the cool thing, okay? Once you disengage from those negative voices, you got to replace them with something else, right? So focus on your value. Why are you wanting to do videos for your job in the first place? Is it because you know that you are good at selling and you want to help more people? Great. Focus on that. Focus on some things that you know you're really good at And I want you to write them down. Okay. This isn't like fluffy, hippie. Oh, Alicia. Oh, everything's good. Self-affirmations. No. There is actual research behind this. Okay. So after this session, maybe if this is something you struggle with, I want you to take a Post-it. Okay. And I want you to write down 3 things that either make you good at your job or value statements about yourself. And I want you to keep it by your camera. Like, seriously, peel it off and stick it on your computer by your camera so that when you are going to record your next video, you have value statements to read about yourself rather than giving all the power to the negative voices. This is true for lots of things more than just video, which is why I'm so passionate about this topic, but it's going to make a difference.
100%, right? You're refocusing to the positive rather than this negative side of things. And it's not rocket science, but we have to be really intentional with it because it's so easy. And the reason I love this sticky note thing, Alicia, when you and I sat next to each other in sales for so many years, this was a big one for me because sales took a lot out of me. And it was sometimes really hard to dial that next phone number and just do the next call. But if I could look back and be like, no, you know what? I am really great at this. I am so good at building connection with the person I'm talking with. I'm going to lean into that. And I'm going to let some of the other chips fall where they may, because I can't control all these pieces. The one thing I don't want you writing in this value statement is anything about your appearance. We're going to avoid that. This is what we're trying to overcome. And if we're sitting there going like, well, I like my eyes, but I hate my chin, again, we're just looping back to this whole cycle of things. So when you're thinking about it, those questions, just to reiterate some of the ones that Alicia said, what am I great at my job? What do I bring that nobody else brings? What makes me excel in my position? Maybe why did I even get into this position? What did other people say? Why do other people think I'm good at my job? That's a great practice as well. If you're struggling in this, ask people, ask those closest to you. Hey, what do you think are things that I'm really good at in my role? Yeah. Ask your wife, ask your partner, ask a coworker. These are great ways to at least get your imagination started and get over that initial hump because it's tough.
So before we move on to the next one, we all know who Oprah Winfrey is, right? I feel like we all can pretty confidently say we know who Oprah is. Oprah had a very honest and open conversation about her battle with her own appearance for her entire career, right? Oprah has had to work through severely debilitating self-hatred. Now, back in the 80s, when Oprah Winfrey was offered the Oprah Winfrey Show on WGN in Chicago, she was working as a newscaster or whatever. This was a big opportunity. At the point in time when Oprah Winfrey was offered this opportunity, she had not even started to crack through any of these self-hatred about how she looked and what she had to offer and all of that. She hadn't even started to crack through that. But guess what? She made a decision that she was going to do it anyway. Okay. When Oprah Winfrey started the Oprah Winfrey Show back in the 80s, she had severe self-hatred for how she looked, but she showed up and she did it anyway. And guess what? If Oprah Winfrey had not made that choice to still show up on camera in front of people, even though she was still struggling with this, the world would not have Oprah Winfrey, and Oprah Winfrey would not be worth I don't know what it is, 80 million, billion. I think it's 80 billion. I don't know. She's insanely rich. Okay.
It's a lot.
I just want to encourage you that it's not oh, okay, well, now that I've written down those value statements, I won't feel afraid anymore and I'm going to be great and everything's going to be fine. No, you're probably still going to have to work through this, but guess what? Do it anyway. Okay. Keep reminding yourself of what you're good at and the value that you bring to your clients and keep doing it anyway.
I heard a statement and then we'll move on to the next one here, but this is something that we talked about in sales a lot. Done is better than perfect, right? We could spend forever, and this is true on any project, not just video, but the more you try to perfect this and perfect it, it's going to take forever. And we've had some people who've been really open and honest and said, oh yeah, it takes me an hour to record a video because I do that. You know what? You could have had that done and probably done really well with that in the first 5 minutes, but these insecurities kind of loop us around. So I also want to just throw out there, thank you to all of you that are chatting with all of these things. I think it's so encouraging to be there for each other. I know we don't know each other that closely, but that's really the heart of what BombBomb is you all in the community. So thank you for your vulnerability and your willingness to just share with each other. David just said that Oprah's net worth is 2.5
billion
with a
Thank
B.
you.
That's a big number. So thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Let's touch on this one, because I know this is a big one that we hear a lot, is the I don't know what to say, various forms of that. I think the number one way I hear this over and over and over, and Alicia, tell me if this is true, like, can you just give me scripts for that? Can you just tell me what to say? Right? Yep. How many times have we heard that over the years?
Yep. Do you have a script for that?
Yeah. Totally.
So if you haven't been to a lot of sessions, you may not know, Kevin and I both have a background as professional actors and actresses, and we did a session kind of talking where we dove a little bit more into that. But guys, you're not good enough actors to have a script. And I don't mean that as any offense to most of you. But I'm just going to tell you the truth, is that if we gave you a script for everything that you were supposed to say on a video, it would sound like a robotic reading of words that aren't yours. And so the first tip for you here on this, I don't know what to say, is bullet points over scripts. Okay. If you are trying to memorize the words that you're going to say in a video, it's not going to be natural. Actors spend hundreds and hundreds of hours learning how to take someone else's words and deliver it so that it sounds naturally like yours. But a bullet point is great, because then it's going to keep you on track. And guess what? The notes feature that we talked about, was that last week? I think
we touched on it last month. I'm not sure. I could even pull it up to show people again as well, just kind of where that is. But
there's a notes feature in the BombBomb recorder now that gives you an option to like have some notes alongside the recorder while you're recording. So you can use that notes feature and put some bullet points in there. And then your eye line, if you have to move your eye line over to the side or to look at those notes, like, it's not a big deal. You get to be a human being. I've even encouraged people, like, if you're doing a longer video and you've got stuff you want to make sure you cover, there's nothing wrong with referencing your notes, because guess what? The person that's watching the video knows that you're a human being. Okay.
Yeah.
They don't expect you to be able to do a 2-minute monologue, right? Again, they're not expecting you to be an actor. You're just a person.
No, not at all. I'm going to see if I can pull this up in our app right now. Let's see if this pops open. So you can see this is actually my live video literally right now in a BombBomb account. And this is kind of our new space that we've put in the web app. And it's just notes, right? You can put these bullet points. So we're going to go over and give you a framework for some of the bullet points. But all I've done is just click the new video button up at the top here and gone into where I would record a video. And now we have an opportunity. So if you're not doing it in the web app, if you're recording somewhere else, use sticky notes, use whatever. There's no right way to do this. But the beautiful part about this is it allows you to be natural. It allows you to with scripts, for me, right? Even as an actor, it's somebody else's words. So it doesn't always feel natural. You have to work really hard on that. And two, if you're trying to read a script, your eye line's down here, you're reading lines, it feels robotic. There's no connectivity to it whatsoever. So those are some of the just quick bullet points on why bullet points on why it's important, on why we want to make sure that we're not just giving you words to say, because there is no perfect formula. There is no perfect thing to say to get people. It's about you. Yeah. So how do you say it? How are you going to connect and build that rapport and that relationship? So did you have something to that, Alicia?
Oh, just, yeah, on these, like, on the connection and value piece. I know, like, we hear this all the time, like, once I turn on the camera, I get flustered and I stumble over my words. And so there's a couple things to really help you focus on this. And one of them is picture who it is that you're speaking to, right? And if you're doing a video to lots of people, I would still encourage you to picture that you're talking to just one person and use you language. We get that more into some deeper strategy, but just like picture who it is that it's for, and like you're talking to them. That's way less intimidating than the thinking of the talking head and acting like you're doing a presentation type thing, right? So picture who it's for, and then the value piece, right? This is really, really important. Like, why are you sending this video? Like, what is the goal here? And you have that in the next bullet, like, do you need something back? But make sure that you're clear on the goal of the video. Is this video for connection? Are you building a relationship with someone? Because that video should be really, really short and to the point, right? It's the introduction. It's the making that point of connection. Are you educating on this video, right? Are you providing information? Are you answering a question? These are all going to be helpful things to get you in the right headspace for what that video should sound like.
And so often, Alicia, when we don't know what to say is because we are not clear on what we're trying to get across.
Yeah.
Because it's vague in our minds, so it becomes very vague and unfocused in our words. So these are the 3 bullet points we want to encourage for you all, is this connection, value, end goal kind of framework. There's a lot of different ways to think about this. But what's great about this is not only do you have bullet points if you need to reference it, but just being intentional with that thought prior to recording is going to make you and help you know what to say, just because you've been really intentional with that. I think the connection one is a really interesting one. And a lot of people go, oh yeah, I just need to say their name at the beginning. But for me, connection is so much more than just the name. It's, to Alicia's point, who are you talking to? I speak to my mom very different than I speak to Alicia. I speak to my wife so much different than my 2-year-old twins, right? We envision these people, we picture these people. When I was in a voice production and speech class in acting school, my acting coach could tell if I'd read an email from my mom, because she grew up in Jersey and I would bring things into my vocal tone from her accent. How wild is that? It just shows how much you are seeing the other person and engaging with them as you're reading an email, let alone talking with them and speaking to them. So the tone, the way that we're speaking, their name, the different pronouns that we're using, all those are so important there. But think about that. Who am I speaking with? The value, what am I providing? And then the end goal here is, what do I need back? This is so often one of the reasons that you may lack in your responses on the videos and the emails that you're sending, is we are not clear enough with people on what we want back from them. I remember I used to write emails and send videos even, right? So I thought I was killing it, of being like, great, well, just call me, email me, like, just shoot me a message back. Let me know what you need.
Let me know what you need.
Yeah. Guess how many responses I got on that? Literally none, because they had no idea what I wanted them to do. It's so much different than saying, awesome, so if you'll just reply to this email and answer this question, I would really appreciate it. Now that person knows, they don't have to think to do it, right? Or great, so if you'll just click this link, go to this email address that I've already put in there for you and just fill that form out, that would be amazing. It'll take you 2 minutes. They know exactly what we need them to do. People will follow through when we're very, very specific about what we're hoping for. So keep that in mind with that end goal, that call to action. You already touched on this bullet point, Alicia, so I don't think there's a lot here. The way that I like to think about it with the camera is, do you ever sit here and talk to somebody like this when you're having a conversation? Like, that would be real strange. We would not have many conversations with that person, I imagine. So I like to think of the camera as my home base, right? That's just where I come back to. I can come grab notes. How often when you're talking to somebody, do you like look out the window or look away to catch your thoughts and then come back to the camera because you're coming back and bringing it back to them? That's real. That's human. That's natural. An extension of this is, guess what? Your words are not going to be perfect. You're going to say ums. You're going to have filler words. You're going to say something wrong and then have to redo it. Those are not reasons to stop and redo your entire video. Those are human elements of you. That's okay to have little flubs, little imperfections. Those things are okay. Don't let those hold you back from what you're trying to say there.
Which is the perfect segue into our next one. But this is a really important quote, though, to finish this, or not quote, but a really important statement to finish this section. And that is, if you don't know why you're sending an email or the video, neither will the recipient. And to take that one step further, Kevin and I did a whole session on deliverability. I did see someone in the chat asking about, like, how do I get my videos played more? Or I saw someone saying something about some of their videos going to spam or whatever. We did a whole session on deliverability, but this is something to really think about, okay? If you don't need a response, if there's no call to action, is there a reason that you're sending that in the first place? Just something to think about. The exceptions to that are like birthdays, congratulations, thank yous. Those are different. But other than that, right? If there's not a reason, if you don't need anything back from this person, Why are you sending it? Just
No,
something to think about.
the good old checking in email, right? Hey, just checking in, seeing how you are, right? That's when we're sending an email because we feel like we're supposed to, and we don't really know why we're doing it. So be intentional with that. Find reasons to be intentional with your emails so you don't get stuck in that. All right, this is a good one, right? This is new. I've seen some people go, can you talk about BombBomb? I'm brand new to this. This is a great one for you to be aware of when you're new at anything, right? We don't want to look silly. We don't want to look like we're not prepared for what we're doing. And this is a big one. I think we all like to feel really, really prepared for us. So first and foremost, we've talked about this to a degree with a lot of other things, but none of us are great the first time we do anything. And that's okay. I think about this depending on what role you're in, right? If you're in a sales role, remember the first cold call you ever had to make when that person answered the phone and you just have terror all through your body and you don't know if you're saying the right things? Probably wasn't the best cold call you've ever had. You've gotten a lot better, right? If you're in real estate, the first CMA you ever did, probably not the best CMA that you've done in your career, but you did it and you worked through it and you learned things from it. I love this example of the first pancake. Have you ever heard this metaphor before, Alicia?
I haven't.
Okay, so there's this whole thing about, and now I think about it all the time as soon as I heard it. Whenever you make pancakes, right? You mix up the batter, you do all this stuff, you pour the first pancake. The first pancake always stinks. It's never a great pancake. It really isn't. It's like, yeah, I'll eat it. It still tastes okay. But the second, third, fourth pancakes are always better because the pan is hotter now. Like you everything is more prepped. But you can't get to the second and third and fourth delicious pancakes without spending the time on the first one. You can't skip over that part of the process. So every time we do it, we make the batter. We invest money into the batter. We mix it. We invest the time and the energy to watch it and flip it and all those things. And it's not because the first pancake's going to kill it. It's because we know that we're going to get to the really good ones. That's exactly like what we're doing here, right? If you are new at this, do not expect your first nor your last video to be perfect. None of our videos are ever going to be that way. What's great about it, and I think what's interesting about this point is nobody really wants the perfection, right? The perfection is unachievable and nobody relates and connects to that. Talk about that a little bit with the transparency sale. This was something you taught me a little bit more as well, about this book and kind of this whole concept.
Yeah. So Todd Capone is the author of the transparency sale, but Todd Capone was actually working as, I don't know his exact role, but he was a high level executive at a consumer, like rating company for products. And so he was taking a look at all of their data and research, and he actually saw, and I'm referencing my notes because I want to get the numbers right. He actually saw that when a product had a 4.2 to a 4.5 rating rather than a 5.0, that it actually sold better. And he was like, oh, this is really interesting. So then he kind of like started diving deeper into the research behind this. And then he actually left the consumer rating company, got into sales and authorship and all of that, and dove into this massive research to see if the same thing happens with humans. When we see flaws, are we more likely to trust it? And the research that he found, and you can read all about it in the transparency sale, is yes. Okay. When we see something perfect and seamless without any flaws, our brain has a resistance to trusting it. Right? Think about, it's an interesting thing to think about when we start thinking about like AI and like and like deep fakes and all of that. But basically the neuroscience says, okay, that if we lead with our flaws, it disarms the brain's resistance to being influenced. We become a human being, we build trust, and the sales cycle speeds up. Okay? So your flaws in your videos, your and your being a normal human being actually is working in your favor, because the person that's watching that video is more likely to be able to trust you. If you send a highly produced video that's been edited, that has like all of your blemishes and your wrinkles edited out and any of your ums taken out, and you send a perfectly flawless video to someone, their brain is going to resist it because they feel like they're being manipulated and lied to. Oh, wait, they are.
That's powerful stuff. I mean, that's really incredible. And that's based on a lot of data. So if that's something that interests you, look that book up. I promise we're not getting kickbacks for pushing this book at all.
We do not get anything from Todd Capone.
No, he doesn't care about us whatsoever, but it's really good information. And especially if you're more of a data person, you like to see that side of it. Look it up because it's really, really cool. I mean, an example I always think of with this is, when's the last time you watched like the 5 or the 6 o'clock news? And we're like, man, I just really want to get to know those news anchors better. No, never. And they have tried to make it as perfect as possible. They're scripted. The lighting is incredible. They buy nice cameras. They have makeup and hair. They have all these pieces to try to present it in the best way. And I'm not judging news anchors in the slightest in this, but you don't feel like you connect with them, right? You don't feel like you're building a relationship. And that's what video is all about. Video is not like, great, I sent a video, they saw me. It's how are we building connection? How are we building relationships? How are we starting conversations? If they don't want to continue the conversation, then you're really, really stuck. So how do we work through this? How do we work through this newness? Great. Okay, we get the concept that I don't have to be perfect. I'm totally there. This is a really amazing thing that I think I honestly took for granted when I started here at BombBomb, is having a video community around me. The amount of times that I was sitting in the office and would send something and somebody so kindly would come up to me and be like, hey, I heard you say X, Y, and Z in your video. This is kind of how I like to approach it, or this is how I like to do this. Oh my gosh, it's completely refined that process and helped. So if you're feeling nervous, start to build a little video community for yourself. Now you might be thinking, okay, where do I start with? Community feels like a lot of pressure. Start small. Don't have a lot of people. I want these to be the most trusted people in your life, because you can trust them to be kind, but real and honest, right?
Yeah. Like find one person that you work with that is wanting to get better at videos too. And you can send your videos back and forth there. One of our sales guys, when he had first started here at BombBomb, he was like trying to get used to this, like being on camera and sending videos to clients in the sales process. So he started sending a video to his mom every single morning just to help him get over the nervousness. Now, your mom probably isn't going to provide super constructive feedback. She's going to tell you everything you do is perfect. I'm a mom, I know. But it's a safe place to start getting over the hump. Kevin and I talked about this when we were planning this session, but many years ago, we had done a program. I don't even remember the name of the program, but it was a highly intensive video training here at BombBomb. We did it in small groups of like 25 to 30 people. And it was a 6-week, really intensive course, all focused on video. And all of these people that paid all of this money, a lot of money to sign up for this intensive 6-week small course, had homework to do. And at the beginning of the course, no one wants to do their homework and post it in the group. And we're talking about a group of 25 to 30 people that all paid the same money to get better at video. And there's still this resistance to wanting to post their videos into the group. And then as they moved through the course, of course, everyone got more comfortable. And so we did several chunks of this course. We did several versions of it, or several times. And at the end of every course, we would ask them, how many videos did it take to get over the hump? How many times did it take recording the video and sending it before you stopped obsessing and watching it back over and over again and re-recording and re-recording? The average answer was like 8 videos. It only takes like 8 times of just doing it and sending it off before you stop obsessing about it. Now, does that mean every video gets easy? Not necessarily. But if it only takes 8 videos to stop obsessing over it and re-recording and over and over and over and over again, like that's not very many times, guys.
No. And you can do that in a safe space, right? And that's what this community is all about. So have those safe, just small group, one person even could be your video person, your community. Here is the key to this. Is being really specific with your feedback. Alicia, you joked about how your mom's going to say you're great at everything. I promise you, if you send a video to your wife or your mom or whoever, and like, hey, what do you think of this? You're gonna be like, oh, that's cool. That's fun. I like it. That's going to be the feedback you get, which maybe that's encouraging and that builds a little bit of that confidence, but it's not actionable. It doesn't give you much to work on and build on. I saw somebody when we were talking about the internal objections and concerns and things earlier, saying so much of like imposter syndrome and that self-doubt is from lack of knowledge, of us just not knowing as much as we want to in this. So how do we use our community to build that knowledge? It's asking for specific things, right? Hey, how was my intro on this video? Did it feel welcoming to you? Did it feel warm to you? How was the closeout? How was the time frame of this video? Did it feel like I was rambling too much, or did I cut it off at a good time? I mean, you can ask for anything that you're trying to work on or feel more confident in, as long as it's specific. Don't ask them, was it good? Because they'll say, yeah, most of the time. More often than not, yeah, it seems great, right?
Great.
And then to Alicia's point, all of this is building the muscle as well, right? Is just giving you that practice, having you record and sending more videos. Heck, if you even want to record videos for real clients and send it to your little person or your community first, have them review it before you send it out into the world, that's okay too. You can use those real circumstances and then send it out once you feel a little bit more comfortable on that as you're starting out. The more videos you do, the more you're going to build that muscle.
And just as an encouragement, you know, like when you're sending these simple videos, right, one-to-one to someone to say thank you or to introduce yourself or to explain something, really, I mean, we already mentioned this, but try and think of it like a voicemail. Okay. It doesn't need to be flawless. Don't re-record it. Don't get stuck in that loop. Like, be a human. Okay. Just send it off. It's okay to send a less than perfect video.
I've gotten some of the best responses to some of my worst videos. I'm not kidding. Just videos where I was like, I'm just doing this because I don't want to do it again. And people are like, oh my gosh, I love it. Let's talk, you know, and it creates that connection because it's just me. This is what I got to bring, right? To that point, your humanity is your single best sales asset. That's what makes you different. I get lots of sales emails. I get lots of sales communication, and I can read right through a lot of it. As soon as somebody's real, I will always at least respond with, hey, thanks so much for the email. Love it. Not interested right this second. But I know it's a person and not something that's been sent out to thousands and thousands of people, right? So always keep that in mind. All right, let's hit this last one. We got about 10 minutes left, and we want to make sure we're having some time for Q&A at the end. But I know there's a lot of people that can relate to this. I'm a perfectionist. I don't want to look unprofessional. These are trigger words that I've heard hundreds and hundreds of times. And first and foremost, before we talk through some of these training tips on this one, the whole idea of being professional, what does that even mean? We all use this term of, I need to come across professional. I need to be professional. What's so fascinating about it is I started asking people, what does that mean to you, being professional? Guess how many different definitions of professional I got as I asked that question?
100.
Hundreds. Everybody's definition was different. Some people, it was simple as, oh, I have to wear a suit coat. That makes me professional. Other people, it was like, oh, I need to be eloquent with the way that I'm speaking. Other people, it was, my hair has to look a certain. It was so funny to me, the things that we saw as professional and unprofessional. I do think this is vastly defined by what role you're in, what line of work you're in. If you're working in the financial industry, there are different expectations and different levels that are set that I totally understand and want to respect that for you, but don't get hung up on this word. I have met people in t-shirts with backwards hats on that knew their stuff, had expertise in what I needed from them, and they came across as extremely professional. And I have also dealt with people in suits that were the exact opposite, right? So just take that with a grain of salt as we're talking through this one of what is this definition? What does it mean? It's all very, very loose when it comes to some of these sort of things. So let's talk about this because we teased this a little bit before, but this is a lot of that technical stuff. So for those of you, Frank, I'm still looking at your Q&A, that we're asking about setups and what do I use? These are some really great things to consider. Not again to get lost in, I need to go spend a bunch of money, I need to go buy a bunch of stuff. That's not what this conversation's about. But I have learned that if I feel like I look better, if my lighting's a little better, if my camera quality is a little nicer, if those sort of things are in place, it ups my confidence and it really makes me feel better. So let's talk about these. What are some of the tips you give for like background? As an example, I mean, your background's so nice and set up in your office, but what are some things for people to think about to build that confidence?
So some things to think about with your background is, number one, like, don't obsess over it. Okay.
Yeah.
Don't obsess over your background. You want to make sure that your background isn't super cluttered. Okay. Like, you don't want it to look like chaos behind you because that's going to distract people. But like, sometimes the things behind you can tell a story. In fact, we have actual like customer testimonials of them telling us stories about things that actually, like something that was in their background that actually helped them win a deal. Like they had their kids' artwork up in their office, and the client, it was a new client, someone they had never met, was like, oh, when I saw those drawings in your office, it reminded me of when my kids were little, and I felt like I was going to be doing business with a friend. Right? So there's things like that. Like your background can tell a story about you, but also don't obsess over it. I like the amount of people that are like, well, I work from home and I really, I want a virtual background. Yeah, you can put a virtual background, but it looks less human. I honestly, like, sometimes it's not ideal, but communicating the message and doing the video is more important than having a perfect background. Here's a personal story from yesterday. My kids get out of school at 3. I got a text message at 3:05 from one of my kids that said, are you coming to get us? I was like, no, your sister's bringing you home. Nope. Sister had band practice and already left. So I like grabbed my computer, drove up to the school. As I'm like waiting in carpool line, I get a message from Michelle asking me to record invite video for a session. It was going out to like hundreds of people. So I'm like, now I have to do this from my house, right? I don't have my nice professional background. I don't have my ring light. All I have is my laptop and my blank gray wall in my kitchen. And guess what? I did not feel super confident sending those to Michelle, but Michelle was like, no, these are perfect. They're great. And we're going to send those out to hundreds of people, because getting the video sent out was more important than me having my perfect background. So like, yeah, Michelle and chat, they were perfect, right? So it's like, it's not the end of the world, but yeah, if you can have a nice setup that's consistent so that you don't have to worry about it, so that when you turn on your camera, you feel good about it.
Oh, that's a great point. It's just something that you can literally sit down and click record and feel okay with, right? The perfect example, Alicia, I was thinking about is, you may have not even noticed these things over my mirror. We had holes in our wall that I patched and have not painted yet because I'm just haven't done it. And it's like, well, what am I going to do? Not host the webinar? Am I not going to do my job? No, I'm just going to do it. And I don't know. It's one of those funny things. It's not my proudest thing by any means. I shouldn't be pointing it out to hundreds of people, but here we are, right? So don't overthink it. I think that's a great one. Let's fly through some of these other ones real quick. We talked about eye contact a little bit. The lens is your eye contact. One thing I think that's really helpful in helping me feel confident, though, is where do I put my camera? That's a question we get a lot. And it makes a huge difference. I'm going to see, I don't know if I can mimic this at all, but like, if I'm looking down at my camera, look how good I look right now. Like so good, right? Like I look just so shadowy and all the bad things.
Psychologically.
Up here, that doesn't look good, right? So eye level is where we want it. It's comfortable. I'm natural. I don't feel like I'm framing and creating rolls and wrinkles and shadows where I don't want them. So that's a good one. What were you going to add there, Alicia? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
I was just going to say psychologically as well. There's something that happens if you're looking down at the camera when someone's watching the video back. It creates this power differentiation in their brain that they actually feel like you're talking down to them. Yeah. Whereas when the camera is at eye level, it creates this much more mutual experience. The other thing is that eye contact is with the camera. But like Kevin said, you don't have to look at it obsessively, like you can't break contact with it. But what's important to know is that your eyes come back to the camera, not to yourself. Okay. This is one that people struggle with is they're watching themselves while they're recording the video. Guess what? When you send a video to someone and you're watching yourself talking, when they watch it back, it feels weird. They don't know what you're looking at. Okay.
Well, and you're just creating self-consciousness for yourself, right?
Yes.
You're just sitting there looking at all the things you don't like.
Totally.
So you're not in that video at all. Yeah.
Yep. Framing. Rule of thirds. This is a film thing. But you want to kind of make sure that you've got about like a third of the space above your head, not too much. You don't want to be like have too much space up there. You don't want your framing, like I don't know. I mean,
so here's the rule that I have taught people that I think is the easiest way to just do this without thinking too hard, is literally sit in your chair, reach your hand out and touch your camera. Now put your hand down. That's pretty darn good. I'm pretty close to where I should be. And then you've got room to move. You've got a little space. You're not too low. You're not too high. It's just a great way. Again, if I'm recording videos like this, I don't look very good if I'm too close to the camera. So that confidence isn't there. So literally, I think it's just a great, easy rule for framing that you can do. Lighting, I think, is the last one I really want to touch on. Sound, the big one is just make sure people can hear you. If you're in a loud place, get a microphone, get AirPods, get something, because if they can't hear you, it creates a really bad experience, right? So just make sure you're aware of your surroundings. If you can close a door, you don't need to try that hard, right? You've got a nice quiet room. But lighting, talk about the key with this, Alicia. We talked about ring lights. I've got windows in front of me, so it doesn't have to be one thing or the other, but what's the most important aspect of this?
The most important thing is that the light is in front of you coming onto your face, okay? If you have bright lights behind you, it's gonna blow it out. Your face is gonna be dark. It's gonna look like you're in the witness protection program. Just do the best to get light coming on your face. I have a ring light that I bought on Amazon for $20. You can use a ring light if you're recording most of your videos from your desk, great, use a ring light, but it's not necessary. On your phone, when I'm recording a video on mobile, I do the short, right? Oh, okay, that's where it is, right? Just, you want to make sure that the light is coming onto your face. You know, it's not the end of the world. Like the videos that I sent to Michelle yesterday from my kitchen table were darker than what I look like now. It's not my favorite, but again, it's not the end of the world. So you want to make sure that the light is coming from the front. Natural light is obviously ideal. All of us look better under natural light, but if you can't do it, even a desk lamp. Before I bought a ring light, I used to have a desk lamp on my desk that I would use, but rather than angling the desk light right at my face, I would angle the desk light on the wall so it was bouncing the light off of the wall and diffusing it a little bit. Just a little bit of a lighting tip there.
Totally. The biggest thing on this as well is that you don't want bright lights behind you. We immediately get shadowed out and look like you're in like 60 Minutes trying to hide your identity, and nobody is going to trust that person, right? So that's not going to make you look good, make you confident. One quick question that Ben just threw in the Q&A that I think is cool. What do you think about ring lights with glasses? It's a really, really good question. Just don't put the ring light right in front of you, right? Put it a little higher, put it a little off to the side, put it somewhere where it's not directly going to reflect off your lenses, and you can still get very much the same effect. I mean, if you really, really want to get into it and you care a lot, you can have two lights on each side, so you're getting equal lighting, but you don't need to go to those levels. Just make sure you position it, instead of it being right in front of your face, have it, I would recommend either a little bit up higher or pick a side that can kind of even out that lighting. But that's a really great question. So let's lock this up. We've got literally 1 minute left. Did you have something? One more thing?
So, I was just going to say, we're going to take time for Q&A. We're going to do a wrap up, but because we're at the top of the hour, before we take questions, I just want to make two things really clear. Okay. Because I've seen lots of questions in chat about like, how do you send these videos, or where do you post them, or whatever. So if you are not a BombBomb customer already, and you want to learn more about how we are empowering people to use simple video in their business and their sales process, for communication, for converting leads, for answering questions, for maintaining relationships, for generating more business, all of that, we have two options for you. Number one, we offer a free trial. It's 14 days, no credit card required. You get a chance to try out the product and put some of the things we taught you to work today, okay? So if you want to try BombBomb, go ahead and sign up for the free trial. The second thing, and then we're going to answer your questions, guys, but if you have a team and you're interested in hearing about what we can do for your team in terms of content sharing, our team dashboard, all of the additional functionality that you can use for your team, Michelle's going to put a demo request link there. If you want to request a demo for your team so you can see what BombBomb can help your whole team with, then go ahead and click on that link. So again, two options there. You can get a demo for your team to see what we can do for your team, how we train your team, how we empower them, or you can sign up for that free trial, okay? If you have to go because you're constrained on time, thank you for being here. If you're waiting to have questions answered, and we're going to dive into some of those questions here.
Alicia, I want to run one thing real quick as well. We did want to ask, we're trying to be more prepared for what's happening next month and creating really fun talking questions. So I'm going to launch a quick poll if you're still here, if you wouldn't mind looking at we've got a couple ideas of what we wanted to discuss for our March webinar and wanted to make sure that we got your perspective on it as well. So this is just in the vein of, I know people have to get out at the top of the hour, but we want to make sure we're getting your input on that. So I'll let this poll roll for a minute or so. If you don't mind taking a second to answer what sounds really, really interesting to you, that would be awesome. We just appreciate that, so that we're talking about the right stuff, the stuff that you guys actually care about. Cool. So let's kind of wrap this up as well as we're finishing this up so we can get everybody out and then get to the Q&As. But a couple of quick takeaways, and I'll let that poll run just a minute longer. So if you want to drag it out of the way, you can. That's what I'm going to do. These are the biggest things we want you guys to know. You're not alone in this, right? You are part of a much broader humankind that we all feel insecure. We all have these moments of not feeling confident, and we all have these vulnerabilities. You're part of you're part of the BombBomb family, but a much broader family as well. Your videos are never going to be perfect. So don't have that expectation. The quicker we can release that, the quicker we can actually get to sending out real, honest videos from us of who we are that represent us, right? I'm going to go ahead and end this poll since we just got that information. And then last but not least, your humanity is really your most connective quality, right? That realness, that authenticity, these vulnerabilities that we're insecure about are the things that actually connect with other people. Ironically, isn't that funny how that all works out? So just know that. I also want to re-show you the 4 basic strategies to some of these concerns that we talked about here so that you can kind of be reiterated on these. We will send out a recording of this, so if you need to review it at all, but write 1 or 2 of these down, right? As something that I can help myself overcome the biggest thing that I am consistently having. So building your value statement, right? To be more confident in the way that you feel like you look and sound on camera. Build your bullet points if you're not sure what to say. Use that connectivity, the value, the end goal framework for building those bullet points. Assemble your video community. And yes, I use the word assemble because it sounded really cool. It sounded like an Avengers.
Avengers assemble.
Yeah, exactly. But find those people and find those trustworthy people that you can start to build that muscle, send things to, be proactive with what are the areas that I want to grow in this, because it'll be really, really powerful, I promise. And then last but not least, do think about your environment and your tools. It's not about buying the most expensive, fanciest gadget you can find out there. It's about finding the things that just allow you to build a little bit more confidence on all of this. One of the things that I'm really excited about, and then we'll definitely, I know Alicia's been looking at some Q&A stuff, is we want to make sure that we're building tools for you to continue to learn and dive deeper into all of these things. And BombBomb Studios, I know I seem to talk about it every month because it's kind of where I'm knee deep in BombBomb Studios, but I actually built a course specific to this topic so we could release it with this webinar. If this is something that you struggle with, you care about, you're interested in, whatever it may be, and you want to dive deeper into this, Michelle's going to share a link in just a second here so that you can have access to that. And I'll actually go and make sure that that's all activated and everything, but spend time in BombBomb Studios. We actually have a course all about being a director of photography. If you care about the technical stuff and want to learn about the framing and the tools, go take that course. If you're nervous about the on-screen elements, we've got a whole actor course that's built on there as well. So there's lots of different things in the way that you can look at it. I see there's a couple people saying there's an error. So as soon as I stop talking, I'll go make sure that looks good on my end. But use BombBomb Studios. It's a great resource where you can learn kind of how you want to. So the last thing, and then Alicia, we can jump into some Q&A. I said I like doing these kind of motivational quotes. This is one from Will Guidara, who's actually, he was the owner and GM of 11 Madison Park, wrote an amazing book that everybody around me is sick of me talking about called Unreasonable Hospitality. But he asks this question in it. His dad asked this to him when he was a kid. What would you attempt to do if you could not fail? Think about it. Answer that. It's really intriguing. Don't get held back by whether I can achieve this or not. Think big, shoot for the stars. You'll be shocked at what you'll achieve on that journey as you're continuing to move forward in that. So I'm going to hop over and look at that link real fast. Alicia, what are we seeing coming up in the Q&A?
So I saw a couple questions. First one was around getting people to actually play your video. And this one, we've done whole sessions on getting your videos played. You can go to our YouTube page or to our webinar page and watch a video there. But the best #1 suggestion for getting people to play your video is that you need to include a line of text, whether it's an email or a text message. Include a line of text telling them why to play the video. What are they going to find when they play the video? If you're sending a text message to a brand new lead with a video in it, say, hi, Kevin. I sent you a video to properly introduce myself. Press play, right? You've got to let them know why they're going to play the video. Hey, Kevin, I just sent you a video as a follow-up to our previous conversation with the answers to those questions, right? You got to tell them what they're going to find in there. I saw one around chat about getting your videos into your CRM. And then I saw another one around if you record a video on your phone, how do you get it into the BombBomb app? I'm going to answer them both real quickly. We have a BombBomb mobile app. So you can either record videos directly from inside the mobile app, and they'll be in your BombBomb platform in all of the places where BombBomb lives. You'll be able to access those videos. Or if you record a video on your phone, when you go into the BombBomb app, it's going to give you an option to upload a video that's on your phone. Okay. That video will now be in all of your BombBomb platforms. Last question that I saw was about getting a video into your CRM. The Chrome extension is the ideal way to do that. We have tons of resources on the Chrome extension that you can check out if you go to our support page. But the Chrome extension is going to give you the opportunity to both record a video as well as access your entire video library from anywhere in a Chrome browser. So you could be inside of your CRM, you can open up the little Chrome extension, record your video, pop it into your CRM, and you do that all really, really fast and seamlessly. Is there a choice to mirror your video or flip? No, there is not an option there. BombBomb automatically flips it. So that if I am holding up something like this in a video, the person who's watching it will read it back. We haven't given you an option to control that. Robert says his Chrome extension does not let him record the screen. Robert, that sounds like a support issue. I'm going to recommend you go to our support site and chat with one of our support people, or send them an email, support@bombbomb.com. They can definitely get you some help there. I don't see any more questions.
I think you're killing it. Michelle just put the support content or the support links and stuff in there. Robert, if any of you need help from support, that support@bombbomb.com is a great way to do that. Or you can even hop into your account. There's a little get help button in the bottom right that we can feed you up some articles, as well as you can chat with somebody if you're more comfortable with that. So know that there's options.
Linda, it is not the end of the world if you have a window behind you when you're recording. Just pay attention to what it does to your video, okay? For some reason, one of the big bay window in my house in the mornings on our team stand up, when that window is behind me, my camera lighting looks awesome. I don't know if it's the time of day. I don't know what it is. So it's not the end of the world if there's a window behind you. Just pay attention to how bright the light is coming and what it does to your video. Maybe at certain times of the day, it may not be ideal and you might need to turn yourself or something, but it's not the end of the world to have windows behind you. Just pay attention to what it does.
I mean, that's a great point if the windows are in front of you as well. That's something I have to deal with. If I'm trying to record at 4 o'clock, my window faces west, so the sun is coming down right in. Or even today's a perfect example. There's snow everywhere outside. What does snow do? Reflects light. So it is so bright. So thankfully I have blinds and curtains and things I can use. But yeah, really be conscious of what time of day you're recording based on kind of what you have access to.
We had 2 more questions just jump in. Someone wanted to know where to put notes when recording the video. If you're using the notes function, like if you're recording in the BombBomb web app and you can use that notes function right there, and it puts them right next to your video on the screen. If you're not recording in the BombBomb web app, it's not a big deal to take a Post-it and to either stick it next to your computer or just write your notes and reference them. If you're going to reference your notes, I would recommend even making sure that that's seen on camera. It's less awkward if you're trying to like hide it and make it be discreet. Again, your humanity is your best sales asset. Humans have to reference notes sometimes, okay? Is there a maximum number of minutes a text video can be? I've found that videos sent to an Android need to be short. Well, Kevin, this is why you need the BombBomb app. The reason why you need BombBomb to both email and text videos is because videos files are massive. So when you are trying to text someone a video from your phone, it's trying to send them a massive file to their entire phone that then their phone has to try and download and all of that. With BombBomb, you're not limited on file size. Well, you are, but we support videos up to 2 gigs in length. That's 45 minutes of HD quality video. No one wants to watch a video that long via text message, so don't send it that long. However, using that BombBomb mobile app, you could send a video that was 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes long, 10 minutes long if you really wanted to. You need to make sure you have a good reason for it, though.
And one thing to be aware of with that, I think Ben was the one that asked that question. Make sure you're also adding text with it, because a lot of times when it's sent through BombBomb, there's so many limitations and things we can't control that the cell phone providers are using on their phones. So it may show up as a link in there. So make sure you're putting text to allow them to know, hey, this is a video. I recorded it just for you. You're good to go. Click on the link and then they can watch it. But that's what allows it to be a heck of a lot longer, is we're not giving them that direct file into their text.
Yep. Any recommendations for wireless mics? Johnny, I wish that I had a recommendation for you, but I don't. Most everything that I do here at BombBomb is pretty wired. I have a pretty cool external Samson Meteor mic that I use, but that's wired. Maybe look at Amazon reviews. Maybe
that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just look up like a lavalier mic and see what you can find. I'll tell you what, the only thing that I ever use that's wireless are these bad boys. Yeah. And do not feel like it looks weird if you have headphones in. Like, nobody's going to care. Don't stress about that. Again, this is at the effort of try to use what you already have. Don't go spend more money if you don't have to. Now, I don't know what your use case is on that. So I love having wireless mics, but not something I have used as much. But I use my AirPods and they pick up great sound, especially in loud places, or if I'm outside and there's cars driving by, like they really hone in that sound really nicely. So, use those tools you've got for sure.
I think that's it for questions.
You just nailed it on those questions, Alicia. You're just flying through them.
Trying to. Whew. Well, we so appreciate you guys. Linda, you don't need an external camera. You can just use your laptop camera. Thank you guys so much for being here. We know that there's not an easy fix to feeling some of those very human feelings of feeling uncomfortable, of feeling like you're not good enough to do videos, or you're not, I don't know, skinny enough, or you've lost too much hair, or your skin is too broken out. Like, I know there's no easy fixes to those, but I just want to remind you, number one, that this is a human problem. We all feel this way. It's okay. You are not alone in this. Even Kevin and I, who have backgrounds as professional actors and do thousands and thousands of videos, still have to struggle with that. Okay. You are more than the negative voices in your head. In fact, those negative voices in your head are lying to you. So replace those negative voices with powerful statements about your value and just go record some videos. Okay. Get a buddy, get that muscle working, right? Just record some videos, send them off, see some successes. Let us know about your wins. We cannot.
No, I was just going to say, I'll even throw this out there with the buddy thing. If you guys need somebody and you don't have anybody, find us on LinkedIn. Find Alicia and I. Send us videos in message with the BombBomb integration. Send videos there, and we would love to be that community for you. I don't know why we didn't say this earlier or think about it, but we are always here to help you in that. But Alicia, your words were perfect. I have nothing to add to those. They're great. Thank you all so much.
Have an awesome rest of your day. I'm happy to have spent my morning of my 8-year BombBomb anniversary with you all. We'll see you next month. It looks like it's almost a tie for saving time or Chat GPT. So keep your eyes out for your invitation for next month, because it's going to be one of those topics that you said you guys were interested in hearing about. All right. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks, everybody.